So can you fit Payday the Heist stuff into Payday 2 in its current state? Well, yes and no. This will be a build between the mix of Payday the Heist and what's current in Payday 2. Payday 2 has gone through several changes that are vastly huge amongst all the updates. You know, remembering the old one down difficulty or when Death Wish was introduced, but now we have something called Death Sentence 1 down, or Death Sentence difficulty if you don't want the extra downs or whatever the heck. So anyways, I've been kind of saving this for the last, and now as we're heading to the end of Payday 2 and of course upcoming Payday 3, a lot of people have asked me in the past, oh, why don't you do a Payday the Heist build or something like that? And frankly, I started when the Death Sentence update was introduced with, you know, the Medic Dozer, the Minigun Dozer, as well as Graze for the sniper skill. That's when I started. So I don't know anything previously so much back in the day. All I do know is that it turned into a more of an arcade, fast-paced, high-killing shooter. And that's why I stress the importance of making space or killing lots of enemies in Payday 2 and having a build that is self-sufficient and fast. So Payday the Heist builds don't really fit in play with Payday 2, especially in its current state. But they can provide some level of carry, or at least be able to pull their own weight in just a little bit, but not as much as, say, Akimbo CR805s or Snipers with Grays or Commando and Bulletstorm, that sort of thing. So, this is a build you can try. I seriously don't recommend it because it's not exactly optimized for Payday 2. So, Payday the Heist. For those that haven't played it, it's a really good game. I don't think it's amazing in terms of how many heists it has compared to Payday 2, and it's a definitely more strict, well, I shouldn't say strict, I should say slowed down, more bare bones basic kind of style of gameplay compared to Payday 2. Bunkering down, making sure you work with your team, and I mean work with your team, because there's a big difference when you're alone and when you're not alone. Taking down enemies in cops, hallways, that kind of thing. So seriously bare bones and to the point. However, it does have some good elements of gunplay and decent balance between the weapons. One of the weapons that I liked the most was the AK. I've been playing it so much and taking an ammo bag, and the ammo bags are 1000% in this game, which is great. So means a lot of shooting, and with the AK, especially a sightless AK, because you know I'm a bit of a Call of Duty fanboy, well, was. I had a lot of fun shooting with this weapon amongst, you know, a lot of my gameplay. So anyways, Payday the Heist, you have 3 weapons compared to Payday 2. But you don't have a throwable such as a concussion grenade or a Molotov or frag grenade. So with the 3 weapons here, you have 1 primary, and most of the primaries I've seen used was the Anchor rifle, the AK rifle, which is what I used, and the M308, which is heavily popular, and you may see why. You get a secondary, which is either a submachine gun or a terrible shotgun, or what's most popular in the DLC pack is the GL40 grenade launcher, so you can clear out shields like you normally do in Payday 2 with a secondary grenade launcher. And the third weapon is just a sidearm off pistol, whether that's a silenced BS9, I think it's called, or something like that, or B9S, Crosskill Guard, Stryk C, or the Bronco. Now, the Bronco is seriously popular, however, I have my care and taste for the Strikers, and I've done a lot of Stryk 18C builds for Payday 2, so that's basically what I'm going to be showcasing here is those 3 weapons, the AK, the Striker, and the GL40 within Payday the Heist and within Payday 2. Now, Payday 2, if you can take the weapons, well, you got 2 weapons and a throwable, well, the secondary that a lot of people use, and 98% of people use, is the GL40 because it clears shields and you can clear a cluster of cops. Hence the achievement that you get in Payday the Heist. So we're just going to be using that as our throwable to take care of shields and a group of cops. So we're just going to be using frag grenades in this build. Of course, that leaves us with the primary such as the AK rifle and the pistol of the Stryk secondary, well, Stryk 18C in this case, and we're good to go. So that is kind of the setup that I've been running here within Payday 2. Now, obviously Payday 2 doesn't have the balance that Payday the Heist has, So we have to come up with skills and perk to get something hopefully similar, but I will say the perks in Payday 2 are extremely strong compared to Payday the Heist, because if you put any perk in Payday the Heist, yeah, you're going to be instantly winning everything, which is kind of dumb. The one thing that stood out, though, that was seriously important, and I wish Payday 2 did the same, was armor suppression. When you're behind cover and your armor's blown, if there's like a turret or enemies continuously shooting you, your armor will never regen. This is why like Anarchist or Hitman or decks that don't rely on armor are, you know, more favored. And since we're going to go for a bit of difficulty and the reliance on teammates, the perk choice here will be Hitman. Now, Hitman has that automatic armor regen and a bit of bullseye once your armor breaks. You can get some nice chaining for some armor gating. If you're struggling with this, you could probably switch to Anarchist, but the 2 seconds of God mode just kind of kills the pacing of it anyways. So, what this build is a bunkered down, team reliant, but you can still hold your own weight and do relatively well in terms of mixing Payday the Heist and Payday 2. Now in the mastermind tree, I'll just quickly go over each of these as briefly as I can. We're going to be taking Inspire Basic because obviously there's no Inspire Ace where you can get the fuck up and, well, you gotta make space and clear the area and revive the guy. Thankfully, Inspire Basic shortens that, revive timer a lot quicker, but unfortunately you don't get the cool revive through walls that Payday the Heist has. We're just gonna put 1 point in Stable Shot for, our AK stability. Now, as I mentioned earlier, in the Enforcer tree, we have Bullseye, Resilience Daze, because, well, there wasn't really flashbangs in Payday the Heist. Bullseye, that's pretty standard for Payday 2 builds, and Die Hard Ace, because Die Hard is still very good for Inspire Basic builds and or doing objectives, as well as a light ballistics armor setup for Hitman. So we're going with a 70 armor setup here, because that will take care of lights and heavy shooting us at the same time, because 67.5 damage, then a heavy does its obvious 225, so we don't get our HP destroyed in a couple of clicks. Unfortunately, shields do 70 damage, so once shields come to play, you need to take care of those carefully. If you get hit by a shield, yeah, your armor's broken. Throw a grenade and get back into cover. Now, the last tree is pretty much the most important. We're going fully loaded Ace. Now, one particular perk or bonus, or Payday the Heist has its own weird names. Big Game Hunters. You can have more ammo for your stuff. And that's where fully loaded Basic comes into play. And of course, you can pick up more ammo with fully loaded Aced. On top of fully loaded Aced, you can get the grenade launcher refill by picking up ammo. And thankfully, the percentage is fixed from how many updates ago. So your GL40 or the grenades that you can throw for anti-shields or a group of cops will be refilled. So I thought that was kind of neat. So it makes sense in this grand scheme of things. And of course, we can take 2 ammo bags or 2 medic bags from this example. And that's typically the pacing that I see for groups in Payday the Heist. It's either 2 guys take ammo and 2 guys take meds, and life is good. You can refill your ammo and obviously heal up from how many goddamn bullets you take. So the resources here, I feel, are quite balanced. So you can deploy those wherever, and of course, since it's Payday 2, you can throw both your deployables in 2 random spots. And hell, it comes with Bulletstorm, which is cool, which can hopefully make up for the crazy amount of cops. And that's one thing I didn't really brush over. Payday the Heist has a lot less enemies to deal with, but they push extremely hard. So kiting is very encouraged within Payday the Heist. Payday 2 they're a lot slower, but they do a lot more damage, and there's a lot more of them. So with Bulletstorm and an AK and all this fun stuff, it makes for clearing kind of fun. In the Technician tree, we don't really have much. We don't have the OP skill called Body Expertise. You need to aim for the head. So with a bit of Surefire Aced, you can still do damage to them, but it's very encouraged to hit them in the head. With Fire Control and Lock and Load Basic, you can still maintain the Payday 2 hipfire, but at least with the Sightless AK, which I really, really enjoy, I still like using it for ADS and getting some good headshot kills with it. And again, Payday the Heist had a crosshair before the motion sickness accessibility option was added to Payday 2. You can get yourself hip fire with a crosshair and click heads much easily with this setup. In the ghost tree, I wanted to spec for a bit of crits because the AK is very strong against specials and dozers in Payday the Heist. The crits kind of make up for that for dozers and other specials in this game, as well as 2-3 shotting cops in the head with the AK rifle since it has terrible damage in Payday 2. In Payday the Heist, it's definitely a lot better. If it was higher damage, I could probably spec for non-crits, but I wanted to keep the ammo relatively good in this scenario. I might try a non-crit higher damage AK such as the 76-2 in the future, but the AK rifle felt balanced for how strong it was in Payday the Heist, but not too overpowered in Payday 2. So I feel like the crits are a good benefit here. Last in the fugitive tree is just standard 9 lives and equilibrium, just to use our pistol whenever we need it, because the pistol, such as the striker pistol, however you want to call it, Payday 2, Payday the Heist, it was definitely meant for a last reserve. It's not as popular as the Bronco in Payday the Heist, but in Payday 2, it's a nice little, oh shit, I can't reload because we're not using speed pull magazine. So with the AK, we're just using standard stuff to get our stability up to maximum, and of course 88 accuracy so we can utilize the fire control, and no speed pull magazine. We're using the low drag magazine so we can get a tiny bit more bullets and a bit more stability throughout. And of course the secondary, like I said, is an 18C pistol, just modded for accuracy stability, nothing too special. Of course I could make the pistol stronger with pistol skills, but that would just kind of defeat the whole purpose of the build anyway. So with all that rambling about, I'd highly recommend you try it with other people, running more watered down builds per se, because again, Hitman in this example, since you know there's no armor suppression in Payday the Heist, with Payday 2's Hitman you can get your armor back much quicker once your armor breaks, and you don't want to overextend in Payday the Heist, otherwise you're going to take too much health damage, and Hitman kind of encourages it in this example. However, Hitman in Payday 2 is a terrible perk deck, and even more terrible because this build doesn't have jokers for more HP or hostage taker or any self-sufficient healing to get your health back. You're going to be utilizing your teammates' meds, or you can bring meds yourself because this build can do it too, and heal up that way. So again, just like Payday the Heist, you could just choose your deployable and work with your team and see what works best amongst the group. So I will say it's not necessarily a try this build, it's more of a how hunkered down can you carry yourself and your teammates. And it's a nice little funny group check to see how well your team is doing, and just to see how difficult Death Sentence 1 down can be once you play this, because you don't have a Joker to take aggro, you don't have Inspire Ace, and again, you don't have the crazy amount of healing the Hostage Taker can give. So it's definitely not the best build, and it's a tough, hard one to use. So again, be very cautious with this and don't overextend, and you'll have a good time. If other players played very similar like this, you know, without Inspire Ace, Jokers, you could actually have a fun time, and I did here with a couple of groups. If you have like a Payday 2 build person using Leech or Hacker, yeah, you can definitely see how crazy strong those support perks are. But I will say, with all the rambling I've done here, I had a lot of fun with this build, and it was great to experience a more bare bones version of Payday 2. Now, like I said, it's a tough build. It can be frustrating for others, especially for those learning. And Payday the Heist definitely really emphasized on more teamwork and actually shooting enemies or kiting them as a group and working together. And with this AK setup, I think I achieved it pretty well. I could tweak it with, you know, non-crits and maybe higher damage, but I'm not sure what works best without, you know, relying too much on resources. Because again, the AK in Payday the Heist or Payday 2, I feel like this setup kind of mixes it hopefully fine. I did have a lot of fun with this setup, so I want to recommend the same to you guys. So anyways, lots of rambling here, and maybe I might try an M308 build. Purely Payday. Well, that's not gonna lie, that right there feels kind of good. So give this a shot. Hope you guys have fun with it, and let me know what you guys think, if this is a good setup or a bad setup, or if you guys want to recommend something more to Payday the Heist builds within Payday 2. I know it's totally late to the game, because I'm pretty sure somebody's already made some YouTube videos on, you know, try this Payday the Heist build in Payday 2, because I'll be honest, I didn't even look. I just wanted to try this game, and since I like Payday 2's pacing a lot more, I wanted to see how it plays. So, it worked out pretty good. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.